the most important numbers you should know when it comes to your finances. And there are going to be 10 of these numbers. So I want you to stick to the end of the video so you can get all 10 of these very, very important numbers when it comes to your finances. Now, these numbers are going to be in no particular order based on importance or anything. I'm just going as I listed them in my notes. And the first number you want to know is your net worth. What is your net worth? Your net worth is basically all of your assets minus your liabilities. And an asset is anything that is income producing that you own. So that could be a house, that could be a car, could be your investment portfolio, that could be a business, and so on and so forth. Now, liabilities are anything that basically drains money out of your pocket. So in terms of a car can be an asset. Like, let's say you're a Uber driver or a Lyft driver. That can be an asset because you use that asset to make you more money. Or if you're into truck driving, I used to be into truck driving, so my vehicle was an asset. But it can also be a liability because a liability is the debt you own on your assets, right? So let's say you have a $20,000 car note on your car and it's worth $30,000. So that 20,000 minus the 30,000, that 10,000, that's the difference. That would be your net worth based on those numbers. The second number you want to know when it comes to your finances is your credit score. Now, personally, as you may know, that I don't believe in using credit or debt basically, but I understand this is American society and it's very important. So I'm not going to act like it's not. With that being said, it's very important that you know your credit score because you can get much better interest rates on loans. You can get much better mortgage rates when you go to buy a house, if you can afford a house in this day and age. So it's very, very important because when you go in and you don't know what your credit score is, those loan officers, those mortgage brokers, those car salesmen, they can basically take advantage of you, right? They can say, oh, your down payment should be this, or your monthly payment should be this, or your interest rate should be this. So you want to be armed with the information so you cannot be taken for a ride. And you can sign up for sites like Credit Karma to get your credit score, and they're okay. Most likely they'll give you a close number, but once a year you should be able to get a credit score from all 3 credit bureaus for free. So I will link that link right here in the video. But you want to know your credit score so you cannot get taken advantage of when you go for loans, interest rates, your credit cards, and so on and so forth. The next number you want to know when it comes to your finances, and this is probably the most important number so far, and it's your budget. Why? Because budgeting is so important. By the way, link in the description down below for a budgeting blueprint at my website, alwaystalkmoney.com. But budgeting is so important because if you don't know what your money is doing, your money is going to be doing you. The meaning behind that is you need a plan, and a budget is a plan for your money. Whether you want to use a zero-based budget or a 50-30-20 type rule budget, whatever you want to do, you need to just have a budget. You need to know what numbers are important. You need to know what numbers you're bringing in every single month. You need to know what you're sending out in terms of paying bills, your liabilities, and so on and so forth. So a budget is very important because this is how you improve your net worth. As with the first point that I made, if you know your budget, you know exactly what's going on with your money, you know exactly what's going on with your bank accounts. And so there are no surprises at the end of the month when bills are coming out, you have automatic withdrawals. Is very, very important. Guys, if this video is bringing you value so far, please leave a like for the YouTube algorithm. Please subscribe and become part of the family. I would greatly appreciate it. The next number you want to know when it comes to your personal finances, and this is piggybacking off of your budget, and it's your emergency fund number. You need to know what you need in terms of an emergency. Now, a lot of people suggest that you have 3 to 6 months saved up of your expenses for your emergency fund. But if you don't know what 3 to 6 months of your expenses is, then you don't know what your emergency fund is, because personal finance is very personal. So 3 to 6 months of my expenses is going to be different from 3 to 6 months of your expenses. So you have to know exactly what your emergency fund number is. That could be 10,000, that could be 20,000, that could be 30,000, that could be 100,000. It all depends on what your lifestyle is like, how much money you make, and what you need to keep your life going, because emergencies will happen. The next number you want to know in terms of your personal finances is your retirement number, because we all are going to get old. There's no doubt around that. We're biological beings, get older, and so on and so forth. So whatever energy you have now, you're not going to have later. And that means that at some point we're going to have to take a step back, exit the workforce, and let the younger people do all of the heavy lifting. And so if you want to have a comfortable retirement, you need to know what your retirement number is. And so when you retire, you might not spend as much money as you did when you were in the workforce, but still you want to keep your lifestyle slightly close to what you're used to, slightly close to what is comfortable for you. Okay. So you need to know what your retirement number is. When you're saving, when you're investing, putting money away in your 401k, when you're building your business, all of these things that can contribute to building your nest egg, you need to know what your retirement number is if you want to have a good and comfortable retirement. And if you're investing, in the link down below description, you can find my investing ebook, and that can kind of help you to understand ETFs and give you some good ETFs that you can invest in, that I personally invest in. The next important number you should know when it comes to your personal finances is your savings rate. And this is very important because in the last point, I talked about your retirement number, right? How are you going to get to your retirement number? By saving year by year by year by year. But if you don't save enough, then you might not hit that retirement number, right? So you need to know what your savings rate is. Is it 10% of your income? Is it 25% of your income? Is it 50% of your income? I always aim over ambitious. In a perfect world, I want everyone to live off of 50% of their income, and the other 50% goes towards setting up their nest egg, retirement, and so on and so forth. But you have to know what your savings rate is. Is it $100 a month, $200 a month, $1,000 a month? Use a retirement calculator, see how much you need to contribute every single month to hit your target retirement fund number, and that will give you what your savings rate should be. And it also depends on not only your lifestyle but your age, because me at 31, I have to save and invest more money than someone out there that might be watching this video that is 21, because the power of compound interest, they'll have 10 extra years of compounding to get to their retirement number. So your savings rate is going to be lower the younger you are, because compound interest is going to work in your favor. But the older you are, the more aggressive you have to be. So it's very, very important that you start as soon as possible. The next number you want to know is your debt to income ratio. You need to know how much money you're bringing in, but you need to know what your debt or your total revolving debt is. And usually conventional wisdom says keep it below 35%. That's a good number. That means 70% of the money and your net worth and your income is not in debt. If you're making 100K per year, but you're 100K in debt, that is not good. If 100K per year and you're like 30K in debt, that is still not good because you're in debt. Eliminate debt. But at the same time, it's not going to break your budget. It's not going to break your back. It's not going to cause you to be in poverty, so to speak. Okay, look at how much money you're making every single month, gross, net, whichever you want to use, and look at your total revolving debt. And a lot of times right now, we're in a credit card crisis, mortgage crisis, all types of crisis, financially, car, repossession, everything. So a lot of people are in debt. We know that. Okay, but if a lot of people are in debt, but they're making millions and millions of dollars, that's not so bad, because that's a low debt to income ratio. And so if you are over 50%, 60% debt to income, that is not good. You need to work on lowering that, work on fixing your budget, work on saving more, increasing your savings rate, making more money, side hustles, everything like that, so you can get into a better space when it comes to your debt to income ratio. Now, there are 3 more important numbers that I think you need to know before we wrap up this video in terms of getting a full picture of where you stand with your personal finances. And the next one is your investment portfolio. Just like knowing your savings rate, just like knowing where you want to be in terms of your retirement number, you want to know what your investment portfolio is doing. Now, investing is very simple. It's set it and forget it. Prepare for the long term. You don't have to watch it every single day, but you need to check in periodically, maybe once a quarter or twice a year. You can do that because you need to know what investment mixes are working for you, what's not working for you anymore. As you get older, you want to rebalance your portfolio. The younger you are, you should take more risk. It's not official investment advice, but conventional wisdom says if you're younger, you have more time horizon to correct any mistakes that you may make in investing, because investing is always a risk. But you can take more risk when you are younger. The older you get, you try to rebalance and take less risk. So you need to know the numbers of your investment portfolio. Don't just give it to a money manager and say, hey, let me know what happens in 30 years. No, you want to be a steward of your own money. The next number you want to know when it comes to your personal finances is your net income. When you get a job and you have a W-2 and you see your paycheck, your pay stub, all of these things, you will see gross income. Especially if you get a new job and you get an offer letter, that's your gross income. And a lot of people make the mistake of planning their life, planning their lifestyle, planning where they live, the car they buy, and all these other types of things based off of gross income. But your net income is the real important different number, because out of your net income, they took out your taxes. If you have a 401k at your job, they took out your 401k. But then on top of that, you have to also take out your personal savings. Then you have to also take out your emergency fund. And then if you're really diligent and really smart, you're going to have like another investment portfolio that you fully control that is outside of your job. So your net income is very, very important that you know this number, because that's how a lot of people get into trouble. Oh, I got a new 6-figure job. It's making me $150K a year. But come to find out, it's really like 125 net because of taxes, 401k contributions, and insurance and things of that nature. So don't plan your life off of what your gross income is. Make sure you know what your net income is. And the final number that you want to know when it comes to your personal finances is your interest rates. Your interest rates are very, very important. Don't go into the car dealership and let them tell you, oh, I'm just going to give you a $250 payment. What is the interest rate? Right now, mortgage interest rates are super, super high. You need to know your interest rates, because if you use interest rate calculators and you use compound interest, you will see that you might be paying 2 or 3 times what the thing or item that you bought was worth, because your interest rates are so high. And that's why it's also important to know your credit score, because good credit equals lower interest rates. Zero interest rate is even better. And I know a lot of people like to do credit card churning, get those free airline miles, get those free airline points, and talk about, oh, I'm going to pay it off at the end of the month. But eventually, one time you're going to slip up and you're not going to pay it off, and you do not know what that interest rate, that APR is. So make sure you're always reading the fine print. They always put the interest rates in the fine print in so small letters. It's almost like you need a microscope to even see what the darn thing is. So be diligent, know what your interest rates are, and always talk money. Guys, this is the end of the video. I know it was a little bit of a long one, but these numbers I think are very, very important. You need to know these numbers if you want to take your personal finances very seriously, if you want to build wealth, if you want to live abundantly and not be broke, which I don't want anyone to be broke. Take advantage of this information. My name is Adrian. This is my time. alwaystalkmoney.com. Links in the description down below. Give a like for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe if you're new. QR code right here. If you're on the TV, go to the website. We post blogs almost daily, so you can read if you're more of a reader, and you can watch me sometimes on YouTube Mondays and Thursdays. With that being said, have a great, wonderful rest of your day. Thanks for stopping by. Peace.